He has me on each morning, so we taped that today.
Nice.
I already began to study the Lions, and here I am. On 2 hours sleep, I might add.
Well, okay. Hopefully you drink some coffee to keep yourself up with a little bit of with a little caffeine. Merrill, let me ask you this question.
I don't drink coffee.
Neither do I, by the way. I drink tea.
Me too.
Yeah, I haven't had coffee in decades. Merrill, let me ask you this question.
Sure.
So when you the last time you and I spoke on WBCB, you talked about your process, and you just talked about that, like leading up to a game. Day of the game, you get to the stadium with the club. Let's go to Green Bay yesterday. What did you do when you got there? What's your process to get ready for the game on game day?
Well, first we arrived and we went in the media entrance, and then we took an elevator up to the 7th floor, and then we walked 180 degrees around the stadium on a concrete floor, so that this morning when I got home and I got into bed, I had shin splints. I did.
Be careful.
Did you ever have shin splints?
No. I've heard of them.
Matt, did you ever have shin splints? Yes. Yeah. Most of us real athletes have shin splints.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for that.
And it was from walking on the concrete floor about a mile. And,
wow.
And with the temperature in the low 20s. So it was hard. You really feel it on your body.
Now, I remember you were the first play-by-play voice to tell me this. So when you're calling the game with Mike Quick here, you have the windows open, correct? You still do that?
Yes, of course.
And that's you want to hear the crowd.
Yeah, you want to be part of it. You want to really feel the game.
And because your headphones are on, I mean, you could hear it, but it doesn't distract you.
No, it's not the same. The only booth now in the National Football League that is glassed in with unremovable glass is Kansas City.
Arrowhead. Okay,
Arrowhead.
Didn't know that.
And we don't like that. We really don't like that. You feel detached. You get the crowd noise from a crowd mic, but it's not the same. You want to be out there, no matter how old. I know the first year that we did the games, we were someplace, and they had the windows that could go up and down, and it was cold. Mike said, let's shut the windows. I said, no. I want to feel the game.
Sure.
And Mike said, well, if you really want to feel the game, go down there and let them hit you. That's what he said. Go down and let them hit you. So then the next week we were someplace where the windows did not come out. And after the game, Mike said to me, you know what? I never want to do the game behind glass again.
Oh,
he said, because
you were right.
I felt like I was in a library.
Wow, you don't want it quiet.
You don't want that. You want. You've been to the press box at Lincoln Financial.
Too many times, yes.
And all the guys and girls, all the media people sit in that big press box behind glass.
Closed, yes.
That's awful. That's awful.
And we're not allowed. You have to keep the noise to a minimum. So you can't cheer.
We don't cheer.
Yeah, of course.
We don't cheer, but I
let people know.
want to be part of it.
Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. All right, so basically, before the game, like what I like to do when I get it. The field passes, I like to check out the weather, anything. So when you go to a game, do you check it a couple hours before the game? Do you get on the field?
I do it at the link.
Okay.
Because I do a pregame piece for Channel 3.
Okay.
So I'm down there for maybe 20 minutes.
Now, okay, let's talk about
not in Green Bay,
but let's talk about it. So the legendary Lambeau Field. What are the conditions like there? What's it like going there?
I tell people, if you're a football fan and you want to go to one stadium, Lambeau Field is it.
I have never been there.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
It is the best stadium on all of football. Now, our booth is a good average booth.
Okay.
Decent vantage point, up high, a clear view. It's not bad. I give it a B. But from a stadium standpoint, I give it an A+++++.
Wow.
Think about it. When you talk about baseball and you talk about history, you talk about Wrigley Field and Fenway Park. And before they did it over, people used to want to go to Yankee Stadium to look down and imagine where Babe Ruth was standing out in right field. And Dodger Stadium, Chavez Ravine, that's kind of a historic place today. And it's a beautiful place. My son lives about a mile and he go from Dodger Stadium, and he goes there all the time. You want that. In football, Adam, what do you have that is a relic? When you go to Lambeau Field, and I don't care if you're young, but even if you love this game and you're young, you've seen film or the old film of Vince Lombardi standing on the sideline and the frost coming out of his mouth, and then you hear John Facenda's voice saying, "The frozen tundra of Green Bay, Wisconsin," and you think of Paul Hornung and Jerry Kramer and Fuzzy Thurston and Bart Starr and Boyd Dowler and so on down the line.
Herb Adderley.
Yeah. Herb Adderley was a great friend of mine.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Oh, a great friend. And as a matter of fact, when Charlie Swift died, and I moved into the seat, I was doing the color that year, 77, and they said to me, "You're doing the play-by-play starting next week with the Giants. Go get an analyst." They told me, WIP, Dean Tyler, Merrill, go get somebody to work with. I got Herb Adderley. And Herb and I did the last 2 games of the 77 season.
Did not know that.
And then he was never a candidate to do it because the following year he became a member of Wayne Harden's Temple staff.
Yes, the former Temple head coach, and then when he left, Bruce Arians took over. So, by the way, everyone, we're at Chicken Pizza in Warrington, PA, right off the PA Turnpike and 611. We're here till 7 Eastern. Merrill, here's another one for you. I haven't talked about this in a while because the vet's been gone, but what was it like to call games at the vet?
It was okay. It was okay. I have a story about the vet. Mike and I laugh about it because one day the vet is was no older than Arrowhead Stadium, which is beautiful and well maintained. And by the end, the vet was a wreck. I was doing a game with Mike Quick at the vet, and all of a sudden I looked over, and there was some kind of green liquid coming out of the ceiling and hitting him in the head. I mean, people down in the bowels of the stadium who worked down there, they had their own pet rats. I mean, they did. The vet was a mess. It was poorly maintained. Yeah. It was fun, and you talk about the fact that the 700-level fans were insane. But here's my funny story about the vet.
Go ahead.
George has heard this story. George Forster, my close friend, is here tonight. He's heard this story, and I think Matt Miro, who is the king of WBCB, he's heard this story too. But for those of you who haven't heard this story, it's a. Have you ever heard this story? Talk to our fans here tonight. I think you'll like this story.
Go ahead.
It was the last year of Veterans Stadium, and that's 2001, because the link opened in 2002, right?
03. I thought it was 03.
Was it 03?
It was 03.
Okay, so this was 2002.
Close enough. Good enough.
And the Eagles are playing the Giants on a Monday night. And at halftime, Dave Spadaro, the Eagles insider, would come in and do an interview. And he's doing an interview at halftime. Now, I sit in the booth, and when I broadcast, I have water. Until the fourth quarter, I have a Coke. And I drink constantly to keep my vocal cords lubricated, and so I don't get hoarse, so I'm drinking. So what happens when you drink for a whole half, at halftime, you have to stop at the men's room. And the men's room at the link was all the way down the hall, but I had it timed so that I could walk down to the men's room and then come out of the men's room and walk back to the booth. And at that point, there's a 12-minute halftime, the players would just start coming out of the tunnel. So I'm down there, it's a Giants game, and Dave is interviewing some guy at halftime. I don't know who it is. And as I came out of the men's room, I bumped into Rich Hoffman, who was a writer for the Philadelphia Daily News. And he asked me about a call in the first half. So I gave him the answer, and then I said, oh, my God, the players are coming out on the field. So I went into a trot. That's as fast as I go. I went into the trot down to the hall. I got into the booth. Now, there's 4 steps that go from the top of the booth to the bottom of the booth where I sit. And as I hit the first step, my heel caught on the step. And I started to tumble down the steps.
Ooh.
And all of a sudden, like an angel from heaven, this little blonde woman reaches out and grabs me to break my fall. And the two of us go tumbling down the remaining 3 steps. And we're down there, and I'm looking at her, I'm saying, are you okay? She said, yeah. Are you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And then we started to laugh. So I jump up, and I get into my seat, and It's time for the second half for the Eagles and the Giants. And then we get to a commercial break, and I don't say anything about her, but I just thought about who Dave Spadaro was talking to. And I said to our producer, Joe McPeak, I said, Joe, who was Dave interviewing at halftime? He said he was an actor who lives in Wilmington, Delaware, by the name of Ryan Phillippe.
Oh, my God.
And that
what are the chances?
And that was his wife, Reese Witherspoon, that you were rolling around with. So, and that was an amazing, amazing thing. I said, well, if she had married me, she could have been Reese Reese.
I don't even know how to respond to that, Merrill. What? That is an unbelievable.
That is a true story.
You never know when you bring up you ask Merrill Reese a question, what response you'll get, what kind of story you have a million of them. I want to ask you one other stadium. One of my favorite stadiums. I like relics. LA Coliseum. I know they call it the Mausoleum. What do you think of the LA Coliseum?
Well, it was big. The last time we were there, when the Eagles played the Rams, it was under construction, and we worked from a closet, basically, that was surrounded by plywood.
Oh,
it was a mess.
Jeez, because I like being anywhere there's nostalgia that you could talk about, and I just, unfortunately, I was there, and you were there, of course, because you're calling the game when Wentz towards the ACL, but those locker rooms, Merrill, were like a closet.
Yeah.
And you could see why they moved into SoFi Stadium. But SoFi, what is that like to call it?
Well, I don't call it SoFi.
What do you call it?
So far.
Okay.
I call it so far.
All right, I get
it. Because we are located, it's a beautiful brand new stadium, kind of indoors, but not. I mean, the sides are all open. You have an outdoor feeling with a cover. And here's the problem. They locate the broadcasters in the back of the end zone. And we can't see. Can't see. And the nearest scoreboard is 100 yards away. They don't care. The newer the stadium, the worse the seats.
Ooh, that is tough.
For the broadcasters. Because they're selling these as suites.
It's like that in every stadium. That was the voice of Merrill Reese. I'm Adam Caplan. Up next on the Pro Football Report, we'll go over the current injury situation for the Eagles, who will host the Lions on Sunday Night Football. You're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Do you have a large party of 10, 20, even 50 people? We can't wait to treat you like family at Chicky and Pete's. Forget about deposits or credit card reservations. Making a reservation for your large group is effortless at Chickies and Pete's. Lots of options to celebrate and make your night out unforgettable. Order off the menu or select from food and drink packages, private party rooms available. Make your reservations right now at chickiesandpete's.com. And don't forget, Chicky and Pete's gift cards are the perfect fit for any occasion. Only at Chickies and Pete's.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds and Pro Football Hall of Fame Eagles play-by-play voice, the great Merrill Reese. Merrill, it's time now for this week's injury review, brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. And speaking of injuries, Merrill, when Lane Johnson went down with that ankle injury, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
And then, like Superman, he came back in the fourth quarter.
You know, Kelsey used to do that all the time. You say there's no way he's coming back. No, when he came back out of the locker room, whether he came back into the game or not, I didn't care. It was a good sign that it wasn't anything serious enough to send him to a hospital, or it doesn't seem like anything that's going to keep him out of games for a while.
Right, and they could just limit his practice time to get
ready for Sunday. They have an incredible record with Lane Johnson.
They were talking about it in the game last night.
Without Lane Johnson.
Crazy. It's crazy. And remember, Merrill, they're playing a lot of 6 offensive linemen. Fred Johnson, who they reacquired, who, boy, he's a good football player. Mm-hmm. He's Lane's backup. You saw him play a bit last night.
Yeah.
Now, Cam Jurgens has missed the last 2 games with this knee injury. And I'll give Brett Toth credit. Before the Giants game, you kind of wondered, okay, how good could this guy be? Then he plays the game of his life against the Giants, held his own last night. Brett Toth out of Army.
He also held somebody else last night along with his own and cost him a big gain.
Go ahead. Which one are we talking about? Oh, is it when
he pulled somebody down and he negated about a 15-yard play.
Yes. But Brett Toth has been a great story. He could play in multiple positions.
He's a good football player.
He is. He's been a good story development. With the knee injury, we'll see with Cam Jurgens if he could practice this week. Then, Jair Alexander, remember, he got acquired last week, so he just wasn't ready to play. He told the media that the knee is good, so we'll see if he's available this week. Jacorian Bennett, this is the week. He's got a pectoral strain, so they have to make a decision within a couple of days whether he's going to play for them or not this season. And remember, they acquired Jacorian Bennett from the Raiders, and he had that pectoral strain, and we'll see if they get him ready to go here or not.
Yeah, I have no inside information. Nick does not discuss injuries.
And the Lions, now, you're going to learn this when you look into the Lions stuff. They lost Christian Mahogany for the year as one of their starting guards. Mm-hmm. Defensively, now, their secondary is just banged up. DJ Reed, their best corner. He's been on IR since week 5 with a hamstring injury. Terrian Arnold, their first-round pick last year, he has a concussion. Ennis Registraw, who was a second-round pick last year, barely played last year due to injury. He will not come back. He had shoulder surgery. He won't even play this season. And Kirby Joseph, not only is he their best safety, one of the best safeties in the National Football League, he's got a knee injury. He's missed the past 3 games. So they are really banged up in the secondary of those Lions.
Adam, how much of that do you think has to do with the fact that Dan Campbell plays them from the first day of the preseason, has total physical training camps, tackle to the ground, plays all the regulars in the preseason game? Last year, when they got knocked out of the playoffs by Washington, they had 16 guys on injured reserve.
I'm going to give you a nugget here. This is hard to believe, but I know some of the coaches, they did it, at least did it last year. There were a couple times, I believe they actually hit in practice during the regular season. It might have been for 5 minutes. Because, your limit's how many times you can wear pads.
I think
they tackle in training camp.
I think he has them hit in the cafeteria. I mean, that's how tough he is.
Yeah, Dan Campbell, but he's a really good head coach. I mean, think about how they've turned things around. And they're a really good football team. Jared Goff, a really good quarterback. Jimmy O'Neill, by the way, who's from Doylestown, is their defensive backs coach. Mike Pettin brought him into the National Football League. Dave Phipp with their special teams coach. You know Dave, who we used to be here?
Not only do I know Dave, he's a great coach. Yep. And he used to have me record narration for the special teams matchups. And they used to play them for the players on Friday.
Are you
each week.
So he just approached you, said, Merrill, would you mind?
The funny thing is, he came to me and he said, Chip Kelly told me to ask you if you would record. Chip Kelly, who wouldn't talk to me.
Hey, you told us this
I had no conversation with him, but he goes to Dave Phipp and says, go get Merrill Reese. And Dave did. We became great friends. And I have a great big picture in our rec room that has all the special teams players with a sign saying, thank you, Merrill, for your special teams help. And I have a game ball.
Over the years, and I know you brought this up because this is certainly new. This is news to me. Have coaches ever come to you and say, "Hey, could you speak to our players? Could you anything?" If they ever come to you to ask you to help them?
Well, it's interesting that you say that.
Why not?
Because Dave, what happened was Doug Peterson would get all 90 guys together the first night when they came to training camp, and he would bring me into the auditorium and have me give a motivational speech.
Now, okay. Now, was this okay? So would you have it written out, or how would you do it?
Well, I would plan it.
You had plan. Okay,
I had some note cards.
You had note cards.
Yeah,
okay.
I just pretended I was Dick Vermeil.
Yeah,
that's what I would do. I would pretend I was Dick Vermeil.
Wow.
Minus the tears,
of course.
And then the other thing that happened last summer, right before I went to Canton, Ohio, for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, that Friday at training camp, Brian Papson, who's the Eagles' marketing vice president, said, "Would you come with me to the middle of the field?" And I thought he wanted me to say hello to the alumni. And it was the end of practice. And Nick Sirianni was breaking down the team and giving them final instructions. And all of a sudden, Nick looks over and says, "Merrill, get in here." So I go into the middle of the 90 men in a circle at the center of the field, and he says to the team, "Guys, Merrill Reese is going into the Hall of Fame this week. He's the longest-serving broadcaster in the NFL." And then he turns to me and he said, "Merrill, break down the team."
Oh, my God.
In the middle. And I have the picture. I have the picture. It's amazing.
This is crazy.
And I don't know what. Here I am, and I just said, "All right, guys, listen. When you play this game and when you come to practice, you either get better or you get worse. You never stay the same. You've got to come here every day and get better. And you know what? If you keep getting better, you'll win the Super Bowl this year. This is a Super Bowl team." And I said, and I said a few more things. And I said, and I finally said, "All right, 1, 2, 3, go Birds. You ready? 1, 2, 3." And they always yell. They yell, "Go Birds!" And then Jalen Hurts yells, "Merrill, do it again." and I go, 1, 2, 3, go Birds! And they all yell, "Go Birds!" And that was one of the great treats that I have ever had.
Oh,
and
man.
And the pictures, and somebody took a picture, and my kids had it blown up. And it's on our wall of me in the middle of the whole thing, standing next to Jalen Hurts with my arm up in the air.
I know this
what
is
a thrill.
This is unbelievable. I know this is an injury review brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio, but we should have this Merrill Stories sponsored by Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. This is unbelievable. And obviously your recall because you've done so much in your career. I'm going to ask you one more thing.
Go ahead.
Because I know where I was. This is how, now, as folks who are a little bit older, our memories kind of our long-term memories are great as we get older, but our short-term not as good. I know where I was. I was 10 or 11 years old when Dick Vermeil became the head coach, leaving UCLA, which I knew enough to think that's crazy that a college head coach would leave to go to the pros. Give us your quick story, your first remembrance of Dick Vermeil when he came to Philly.
Oh, I was a big Dick Vermeil fan.
Oh, so you know about him. Okay.
I watched when UCLA beat Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. And
beating Woody Hayes, yes.
And I knew when they went out there that Leonard Tost and Jim Murray went out there and they hired Dick Vermeil. And I'll never forget Cindy, my wife, saying when they hired Dick Vermeil, "You know, he looks like Robert Redford." And she was really excited because he did. He looked at the time, he looked like a young Robert Redford.
Sure.
But Dick Vermeil, to this day, Dick Vermeil is still my favorite coach of all time.
Well, he's
great. You look in the dictionary under the word charisma, there's a picture of Dick Vermeil. Nobody had that motivational ability more than Dick Vermeil, the absolute positive best. And there have been some very, very good coaches over the years, but Dick Vermeil had that certain something, that magnetism, that inspirational quality that nobody else has.
That certain savoir-faire, as they say.
And I'm still friendly with him.
Yeah.
We still talk all the time.
But think about it. Philly turns them around. This was terrible. The Eagles were awful when he got here. Did a phenomenal job turning things around. Comes out of retirement, 14-ish years, okay? Wins a Super Bowl with the Rams. How does that happen, Merrill? It's unbelievable.
Well, he was that great. I did a roast for Dick Vermeil a number of years ago. And I got up and I said, I will never forget the things that Dick Vermeil told me and taught me. And I never forget the things, so I said this. I said, it was Dick Vermeil who said, "You win with character people." And everyone applauded. And I said, it was Dick Vermeil who said, to be a successful head coach, you have to hire assistant coaches good enough to take your job.
I love that line.
It was Dick Vermeil who said to me, asking about Wilbert Montgomery, I wasn't responsible. His mother and father were responsible for making Wilbert Montgomery. And then I said, it was Dick Vermeil who said, ask not what America can do for you, but what you could do for America. And it was Dick Vermeil who said, I've got a dream. And I started naming all these famous lines of speeches, and Dick was sitting there crying.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. By the way, so the injuries that we're tracking are Lane Johnson's ankle. He's their right tackle. Somehow he came back in the fourth quarter, and boy, that really helped. Cam Jurgens and his knee injury, this lingering knee injury. Remember, he had back surgery in the offseason.
I'm worried about that.
It does worry me.
I'm not optimistic about that right now.
Yeah, and we know that Brett Tothfield's in for him. Jair Alexander just got acquired last week. We want to see what happens. And Jacorian Bennett with a pectoral strain. This is the week they have to make a decision whether he plays. And then for the Lions, DJ Reed probably not playing this week. He's been out since week 5. The big one's Terrion Arnold, their number 2 corner with a concussion. And Kirby Joseph, probably top 3 safety. He's got a knee injury. He's missed the past 3 games. So that is your injury review brought to you by the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio. Contact them today for a free consultation at 215-806-3689. That's 215-806-3689. You're listening to the Pro Football Report on WBCB. We'll be right back.
Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and the finest auto body and mechanical repair technicians anywhere. Rob's makes repairing your car easy. Same-day service guaranteed. Whether it's an oil change, state inspection, or a mechanical issue, Rob's will have you in and out and on your way. 2700 Veterans Highway in Bristol, 215-826-9200 for 24-hour emergency towing. Call 215-826-0250. Rob's Automotive and Collision Center in Lower Bucks County is a full-service repair center with competitive prices, top-of-the-line products, and
Hey BCWSA customers, this is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League Champion Phillies. My friends at BCWSA are committed to providing us with safe, reliable water and sewer services. They operate state-of-the-art treatment facilities, provide clean drinking water, and make much-needed investments to protect our environment and ensure a sustainable future. Learn how BCWSA's investments help grow and serve our communities. Visit bcwsa.net. BCWSA, proven.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's, the official sports bar of your world champion Philadelphia Eagles. Go where the players go. Come join us all season for Eagles pep rallies, watch parties, and the best in-game experience anywhere. Ice-cold draft beer, world-famous food, and fan-friendly fun for every Eagles game. Every Monday night in South Philly, the Jordan Mailata Show, presented by Miller Lite, followed by Chicky and Pete's Players Lounge with a current player, hosted by Ike Reese and Hugh Douglas. Go where the players go. Chickies and Pete's.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
All right, everyone, thank you. It's Adam Caplan and Merrill Reese at Chickie and Pete's in Warrington, PA, right up 611. We've got a half an hour left. Join us if you can. The Pro Football Report, by the way, is presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's now time for this week's Penworth Financial Keys to the Game. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit them at penworth.com. So, Merrill, the Eagles are on a short week, right? You got in early this morning with the club. They're going to have a walkthrough tomorrow. They'll have a practice Thursday and Friday. You've been with the Eagles for so long, and you're like me. When Andy Reid, before he kicked us out, when we were allowed to watch practice, I would go. I was one of the few people. I love watching practice.
Yeah.
What do you get out of practice? Let the listeners know.
Well, nothing.
Even when you could get the whole practice, not now, but when you're allowed to watch all practice.
Well, when I watch practice,
yes.
I can see who's healthy, who's not.
Right. Okay.
I can see the game plan. I can see what wrinkles they put into it. But I haven't been in a practice since then. I can see the first 10 minutes of warm-ups and stretching, and then they blow the horn and we're gone.
Yep.
So I don't see practice.
Right. The Lions are coming off a blowout road win against the injured and battered Commanders, who got off to that great start, Merrill, but my goodness gracious, the Commander season's pretty much done. Everybody's hurt.
But you know what? I got to tell you, Adam, Doug Peterson and I were good friends.
Yep.
I knew Doug when he was a player, when Andy brought him in to get beaten up until Donovan McNabb was ready. And then when he came back, we resumed our friendship. And Doug used to get together with me every week. I'd go in and sit down with Doug, and he would go over the playbook with me. And he would actually tell me what wrinkles they had, what gadget plays that they would have, approximately when they would occur, how to anticipate them, and I would figure out how to describe them. So that's the kind of relationship I had with Doug Peterson.
Okay. Please don't tell me you told the Philly special was coming.
No. and you know why? Because it was the week of the Super Bowl, and it was the 1 week I never got to see him.
By the way, when they ran it, were you like, what in the world did I just see? That was
well, you know what I said.
Go ahead.
Preceding the Philly special. Yeah. They've got to kick the field goal. They've got to get the 3 points because there's too much risk. If they fail, the momentum goes the other way, and they'll be kicking off to New England to start the second half. So then they ran it, and, of course, I saw all the stuff with, the pass into the end zone to Nick Foles. And Mike Quick said, Merrill, that's why Doug's down there and you're up here.
It's funny how things work out. So, Merrill, the Lions come into Philly. By the way, the weather's weird. It's really cold and windy. On Sunday, the early forecast is for the low 60s. May or may not rain. Now, last night, I've heard conflict. I talked to people who were at the game. Sometimes the wind was bad. Sometimes it was fine. What was the wind like for you to sit? Was it bad? It
was cold.
It was cold. Very cold.
It was really cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't a hurricane out there. Right. There wasn't gale force winds.
Right.
But it was certainly breezy. I mean, the first. You know what? I never even saw him kick the first field goal at the end because they had called timeout.
Oh yeah.
And it was timeout. So my eyes followed the Packers over to the bench to Matt LaFleur, and then he kicked it when it didn't matter, and it still fell about 10 yards short.
Yep.
It was short. But I knew that it was way too cold to make a 64-yard field goal.
Yeah, no doubt. But McManus out of Temple, by the way, he was great with Denver because he kicked in the mile-high errors.
Sure.
All right, so this is the Penworth's financial keys to the game, Merrill. And the first thing on my list is, and I know Devontae Smith has been phenomenal. They have to find a way. I know they don't throw a lot, but to get A.J. Brown the ball. He has to get the ball. He got it early, and then – I know the passing game wasn't great, but you got to get him involved and get him going a little bit.
I'll give you my number one.
All right, go ahead.
My number one is make first down count because last night, they had 10 instances where on third down they were 3rd and 7 or more. They've got to put themselves in what we call third and manageable. That's my number one.
Yep, and I got to ask you about Devontae Smith. When you see his build, I mean, we remember Deshaun Jackson, how skinny he was as a younger player. I cannot believe the things that he does with that size to make those physical catches. What's it like to call a game with covering him?
He's amazing. I get upset when I hear people. One of the writers refers to A.J. Brown as the greatest receiver in Eagles history. Now. Number one, you have to go. I don't compare the old receivers with the new receivers because it was a different game then. But I will say this: I don't believe A.J. Brown is better than Devontae Smith. I think they are equal. I think they're both great, except that A.J. Brown is tremendously strong and can back away and overpower somebody for the ball.
Correct.
And is tough to bring down. And I think Devontae Smith is an acrobat. He could go high. He's got amazing hands, and he can tap his toes inside the sideline. So I just think they are 1 and 1A, but they're both great receivers.
So now when we look at the Eagles' defense, which was phenomenal last night, how about we have to bring him up? Jalen Phillips, you called his first game. What do you think of his performance?
I think, Adam, and I did a commentary for Thursday about this. Okay. I think it was the best debut of an Eagle ever.
Wow, that's saying a lot.
Well,
wow.
Think about it.
Okay, go ahead.
Maybe I could have said best defensive debut of an Eagle ever.
Sure.
But I remember, I think the first time that Terrell Owens, who he ended up disliking immensely, but T.O., when he first came out, I think early in his first game, Donovan McNabb hit him with an 80-yard bomb. And that was a great way to start your career. Of course, he crash landed. But but can you think of a defensive player who came to this team and had a better first game?
Offhand, no. He was, and you see the way he's built. He's chiseled. Remember, this guy was a first-round pick. And Merrill, the thing is, first 2 years never had an injury, then had the back-to-back Achilles tear and ACL injury. But he looked great. He's healthy. They only gave up a third-round pick. And I know that he's on the final year of his rookie deal. You know how Howard Roseman works. He's the best GM in the National Football League. If he's healthy, he plays well, he's coming back. One way or the other, they're going to keep him. Mm-hmm. And now you look at the depth. BG is back now. Nolan Smith, Merrill. All of a sudden, their depth, which you question, they got 6 guys.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, and now they're going to get, you know, that the Lions' offensive line is phenomenal. This is going to be a great matchup on Sunday night.
Adam, can you tell me how 2 years ago the Kobe Dean lasted to the third round?
Okay, smaller linebacker, barely 6 feet. He never missed a game at Georgia, but there were
rumors about injuries.
Yes, it's true. Actually, it was his build. He had a pectoral strain at his pro day, and he had a bad pro day workout. And I remember when Howie said it, he couldn't understand why he dropped to the third round. But let's think about this, right? He tears his patellar tendon, and you're thinking, well, they'll never be a factor this season. He looks incredible, Merrill. It's unbelievable how good he looks.
He's great.
Yeah,
he's a great player.
He's super smart.
And then Zach Bond.
Yeah,
there's no better linebacker in the NFL than Zach Bond.
All pro last year, who'd never played true linebacker in his life.
You know who really didn't show up last night?
Okay,
think about it. How often did I say Micah Parsons? He was just another guy. I remember once he was chasing Jalen Hurts. But I don't remember him really making a big play.
And Merrill, remember, Jalen Hurts did not get sacked last night.
No.
Which is definitely key. Now, remember now, the Lions' offensive line is phenomenal. This is going to be a great matchup. Vic Fangio, to me, is a Hall of Famer. I mean, this guy is look what he did last year. He is incredible.
Adam, maybe you know the answer to this.
Go ahead.
Are there any coordinators or assistants who have not been head coaches or were not successful head coaches, just as coordinators who are in the Hall of Fame?
Okay, so coordinators who were not successful NFL coaches who got in the Hall of Fame.
Who made their names as coordinators. Bud Carson. Bud Carson's not in the Hall of Fame. He's as great a defensive coordinator as ever.
Did a great job with, obviously, Steelers is what everyone knows before, but did a great job here.
Yeah. With number 1 against the run, number 1 against the pass, number 1 overall in 91, right? Wasn't he great?
He was phenomenal. Norv Turner won't get in the Hall of Fame. I know he's not a good head coach, but Norv was the man for the Cowboys, okay? 2-time Super Bowl winner as an offensive coordinator. He just was not a good head coach. Now, no offense, Norv is great, but what Vic Fangio did last year, Zach Ball never played linebacker. You look at everything that he did.
Yeah.
He is so smart. And remember, in his 20s, he worked for the Philadelphia Stars, Merrill. He got it started here.
You can make a case, Adam, for Jim Johnson.
The late, great Jim Johnson, probably my favorite assistant coach. This is when I was down there at NovaCare all the time. And one-liners. I love what you talk about. I know you go to the press conferences. So you would ask him a question, and sometimes you would think he wouldn't answer it. He would answer it, and he'd go, oh, I shouldn't have said that. I used to love that about him. He had a great sense of humor and a great coach.
I'll tell you another guy
who
should be in the Hall of Fame as a defensive coordinator, and that is Buddy Ryan.
Yes, not a good head coach.
Yes, he was.
Oh, come on, Merrill.
Come on. He was a good head coach.
They never won a playoff game.
I know. But he was still a good head coach. He turned that team around.
You know what's funny?
He had those guys.
He knew personnel. Tom Gamble told me that.
If Buddy Ryan were to wake up at 2:30 a.m. in the hotel the night before a game and put on one slipper and hop on one leg out of the building, 53 guys would have suddenly awakened and followed him out of that building. All right, he was not a championship-winning head coach, although he got fired after making the playoffs 3 straight years. And as he said, he called his own press conference the day after he got fired, and we all walked into the room, and he said, well, it's the first time anybody ever got fired for winning. And then he bought a racehorse, and he named it Fired for Winning.
Are you
Really, really. And he only referred to Norman Brayman as the guy in France.
South France, because Norman had one in South France. Yeah, he had
when he should have been signing players.
Yes, exactly. And Reggie White. Yes.
But Buddy was a great coach. But all right, I'm not saying he was a Hall of Fame head coach, but he was a Hall of Fame defensive
because
coach.
You're right. That part you're absolutely right. Remember, he was the brains on their defense for the Jets when under Weeb Ewbank. Yep, when they won the Super Bowl in '69. Of course, Broadway Joe had something to do with it. But getting back to this game, so the keys to the game from Penworth Financial. The other thing is Detroit, as we mentioned earlier when we did the injury review, they've got a lot of injuries. I know the Eagles don't throw the ball a lot, but this goes back to my first point. You had yours, and I have mine in terms of what the keys to the game would be. I still want to see A.J. Brown. You talked about his physicality. It is really hard when you get him going forward to stop him because you've seen his arms. They're massive for guys just over 6'1".
He's a big man.
For guys technically under 6'1", believe it or not, he's huge.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see them get him the ball more. And this is a defense, if you could protect, because you got to go against Aiden Hutchinson, who's terrific.
He is a great player.
He is. Number 97. Yeah, you'll be calling him on Sunday night. But I'd like to see them go after him. And what I like is the Eagles' offensive line, for all the injuries, and I know they're not run blocking well, their pass protection's been great this season.
It's been pretty good.
Which, the run thing, Merrill, is stupefied me.
Adam, not to interrupt you.
Go ahead, please.
I didn't think it was all that great last night. I thought that Jalen Hurts was under duress every time he dropped back. He didn't stand there in the pocket and look or have time to really. He was running for his life or throwing off his back foot as he was going back. He was really rushed.
I would say that Micah Parsons I know you talked about Micah Parsons earlier. They did a decent job of not letting him wreck the game. But the passing game's got to get going. They'll be at home on Sunday night. Sunday Night Football is interesting because I think it was around in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken, maybe late 80s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was actually on TNT back then, if I recall correctly. Now, of course, it's on NBC. So the lines will be into Philly. And by the way, they had a great game.
It was Mike Patrick,
the late
Joe
Mike Patrick,
Theismann, and Paul
McGuire, the kicker for the Bills. Yes. And by the way, the Eagles now have the number 1 seed technically over Seattle, who's had a great season. And Detroit's right on their heels at 6-3. This is a big-time conference game. And Nick Sirianni, I want to talk about him right before we get to the break here. What makes him so good? You've been around him a lot. What makes him so great?
His attention to detail, his organizational skills, the respect with which he's held by every player, and his motivational ability.
It's good stuff when you describe probably one of the top 3 head coaches, a Super Bowl winner, one of the best road records, by the way, in NFL history for a head coach in the first 5 years. It's just remarkable, and he's got a great GM who gets in the players, and they've got a pretty good partnership going here with Howie Roseman.
He passed Dick Vermeil yesterday in wins.
So
he's third behind Andy and Gracie Neal.
And he's going to be around here a long time. And so the keys to the game here, getting A.J. Brown going, of course, getting that run game going, protecting Jalen Hurts because the Lions have, of course, that front, and then also getting after Jared Goff, where you'll be talking about Sunday night. Very accurate passer. So those were the Penworth Financial keys to the game. The key to your financial future is Penworth Financial. Call them today at 267-997-4503 or visit them at penworth.com. You're listening to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. We'll be right back.
Your day-to-day life is hectic between having to pick up the kids, make dinner, the countless other tasks that you got to get done. Rob's Automotive and Collision is there to make your life a whole lot easier. Make sure you take advantage of their spacious waiting rooms, the large flat-screen TVs, complimentary coffee and muffins, and free Wi-Fi. So even when you do have to stop, Rob's is there to make you feel right at home. Give Rob's a call today at 215-826-9200 for any of your auto repair needs.
This is Tommy Green from the 1993 National League champion Phillies. Every champion needs a good game plan. BCWSA and I want to make sure you have a game plan when it comes to conserving our most precious resource, water. Whether you're washing dishes, brushing your teeth, or watering your garden, there are ways you can save water and save money. Visit bcwsa.net for tips on conserving water. BCWSA, proven.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Do you have a large party of 10, 20, even 50 people? We can't wait to treat you like family at Chicky and Pete's. Forget about deposits or credit card reservations. Making a reservation for your large group is effortless at Chickies and Pete's. Lots of options to celebrate and make your night out unforgettable. Order off the menu or select from food and drink packages, private party rooms available. Make your reservations right now at chickiesandpete's.com. And don't forget, Chicky and Pete's gift cards are the perfect fit for any occasion. Only at Chickies and Pete's.
When an Eagles player gets hurt, the team takes care of him. When you get hurt, the attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will take care of you. They understand that a severe accident can be a life-altering event. You need a reliable teammate to fight for you. The attorneys at Begley, Carlin, and Mandio will get you great results. And if there's no recovery, there's no fee. Contact them today at 215-750-0110 for a free consultation. 215-750-0110 for a reliable ally that's on your side.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. Once again, here are your hosts from Inside the Birds, Adam Caplan, and voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, Merrill Reese.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB and 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. It's Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds. It's the great Merrill Reese, the voice of the Eagles.
I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
And anybody else who is in this building.
All right.
Charlie, Amelia, you can chime in if you know the answer to this. Yesterday was the 40th anniversary of what?
1985.
Something occurred on November the 10th, 1985. The 40th anniversary. George, you know.
It can't be. I know where I was at around that time, general time.
Chris Irmer, our wonderful engineer and producer. Chris, do you know any of it?
Was it Eagles game related?
Yes.
Was it Jaws hitting someone for 99 yards?
Hitting who?
Quickie. See? How about that? Against the Falcons or the Vikings? I can't remember.
Against the Falcons. It is to this day the longest overtime touchdown.
How about that?
In NFL history.
Oh, overtime.
Overtime. First play of overtime.
All right, you ready for this one for Philadelphia?
Wait, I'll go further.
Go ahead.
Who did Mike Quick beat over the middle? Scott Case and Bobby Butler.
I was going to guess Bobby Butler. Why? Because I know his son Bryce, who played for the Raiders. Bryce works in the media, but that is unbelievable, by the way. Oh, no, we won't get that.
I said to Mike on the air, I remember it well because I was sitting on my dad's lap listening to that game on the radio. Mike said, "You're too funny," because, of course, I broadcast it.
Broadcasting. No, but I remember. So not too far from here, I was in between, college break. I was working at Johnny Mott's in Wyncote at the Cedarbrook Country Club. And I just remember it was on a Sunday. Obviously, it was on a Sunday. And I heard it, but I wasn't watching it. I heard it and hearing you describe it just like a miracle in the Meadowlands when I was in the back of my parents' car and hearing you call it. It's funny, we remember Merrill's calls where we were, George. It's just odd to me. Our childhood is like the great Harry Callis, right? I know where I was with certain calls that Merrill made. Isn't it funny?
I know where I was.
I know where you were in the booth, right. Now the question is, who were you with? Yes, who was your color analyst?
Stan Walters.
Oh, was he a left tackle, by the way?
Yes.
He looks like a guard. He looks like a guard.
No, he's too big to be a guard.
Is he that tall?
Oh, he's 6'5".
Okay.
Yeah, 6'5", 285.
All right. Everyone, this is a Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA. It's Adam Caplan and Merrill Reese. And next week, by the way, Andrew DiCecco and I will be at Chicky and Pete's on Roosevelt Boulevard at 6 p.m., so join us next Tuesday. Now, you talked about Nick Sirianni and how great he is. I don't think we've talked about Jeffrey Lurie this year. To me, again, I'm a lifetime Philadelphian. Of all the owners, this is not a slate on any other sports, the late, great Ed Snyder. But Jeffrey Lurie, to me, is the excellence. He came in here with Joe Banner in 1994. No one knew who these guys from Boston were. The way that they've turned things around, give me something good about Jeffrey Lurie.
He's a great man.
Okay.
He is a very humble man. He is a passionate Eagles fan. He gives everything he has to this team. And as one of the assistants, Bill Davis, said to me as he was leaving,
linebacker.
if I ever have an opportunity to be a head coach, I hope I have an owner just like Jeffrey Lurie. All he says to his coaches is, yes, anything you need, anything you want, I will give it to you if it helps this team win a Super Bowl. He is a great owner, and he is a very, very nice, personable guy, a great guy to be around.
Howie Roseman, what makes him so great?
His brains, his diligence, his ability to find the right person for the right job. I mean, nobody's 100% in that job, but Howie is very, very smart. His passion for football, his drive, his willingness to work 18 hours a day if he has to. He's a great general manager, and he's also a good guy.
Dom DeSandro is one of the most interesting individuals I've met in my career because usually heads of security don't become legendary superstars, but this guy has. And the thing that I love about him, he's such a good person, Merrill. Give us a good story. Yeah,
well,
give us a good
he's
story.
Big Dom. He's everybody's guardian, and sometimes he's more than the guardian. He gets involved in some ticklish situations and makes them palatable and leads people in the right direction. He is on guard, and these are his guys 24 hours a day.
Yeah, he is a wonderful individual. Something that just came to mind, because I've been to games where things happen you can't describe, right? And it's because they're
That better not be the right.
Well, no, but this is a great one.
I can't have things go bad again.
Well,
that
there's
I
something
can't
happen
describe.
against the but things happen that sometimes you don't know are going to happen. And what happened with this team, the Detroit Lions in 2013, Jim Schwartz was the head coach. Snow came out of nowhere. It was not on the forecast, Merrill. Okay, the Snow Angel game with Shady McCoy in the end zone.
Yes.
I've never been, because I'm obsessive with weather. Okay, I'm checking it. I like the 3 or 4 day forecast to see if I can play tennis outside. That's how crazy I am. But Merrill, it came out of nowhere. When you see this coming, you as a play-by-play voice, because you want to know what the weather's going to be like, right? You look at it, right?
Sometimes.
Okay. How was that game that you remember back in 2013 for you?
Well, I saw very little of the first quarter. All I could see were stick figures, and I started calling them from the slots that they came out of. And then it cleared up somewhat. It was just fun. Now, I have a picture on my mantle at the house of Shady McCoy leaping over the Lions.
Very nice, very nice. Now, the most famous one of all time, and I watched the special on NFL Network, of course, is the fog ball. How in the world do you call a game like that?
Well, you fake it. You don't see anything, and you try to be entertaining. I said, I can tell Randall Cunningham's having trouble. He just came out of the huddle led by a German Shepherd. That's what you do. And then they went down with the PA guy with a wireless mic and gave downs and distances for the second half.
Now, would you rather have pristine conditions? You like shaky weather? What is your ideal conditions for football?
Well, my ideal condition is perfect weather. On an outdoor, I hate domes. I love outdoor stadiums. But you give me a nice, beautiful fall day with the sun shining and the temperature 60 degrees or 65 degrees and perfect field. That Lambeau field is magnificent. The manicure of that it's the kind of grass where every 5 yards there's a deep section, a dark green and then a light green. Dark green, light green. It's just beautiful.
By the way, someone asked me this question, and you were the one who started the show. How did the Pro Football Report start? When did it start? Do you remember?
What, this show?
Yes.
It started many, many years ago when Harry Gamble was the president of the Philadelphia Eagles, and Leonard Tost, who was the owner of the Eagles, owned a piece of the station.
Oh, did
at one point Leonard Tost owned a piece of the station, and he and another guy got Harry to come and do the show every week. So for a while it was the Harry Gamble show.
As the team
and then
president.
I became an investor of the station, and I did it with Harry for many years. And then Harry sadly passed away. He was a wonderful man. And then we changed the name. We were calling it the Eagles Report. And then once Harry left, the Eagles sent a cease and desist because they owned the name. And we changed it to Pro Football Report. But that's nothing wrong. That's just how businesses work.
Yep.
You do realize that WIP, that pays all this money for the Eagles games to be the rights holder, cannot use the words Super Bowl in a commercial. They cannot use it because it's copyrighted name. You can't. Right. You listen to the commercials. They talk about So if you're getting ready to watch the big game, that's what they use.
So it's funny you say it. So for our show, Inside the Birds, when we talk Super Bowl, when we do an ad, we just talk about the Pro Football Championship, wherever it's being played, but we never mention the Super Bowl. It's so funny we talk around it.
This is Inside the Birds?
Yes.
Birds is probably copyrighted too. You're going to have to change that to Inside the Parakeets. Inside the Pigeons.
Now, was this show always 1 hour, or did he ever do it 2?
We did it 8 hours one time.
What?
No, I'm kidding.
But it was always
Always
1
an
hour?
hour.
Yeah. Because the thing is, I literally could do 3 hours of the show because the Eagles are so good. Even though people complain about the offense, we want to see more offense. They're still 7-2. They technically now are the number 1 seed. Were you as optimistic? I was not that optimistic on this team because they lost so many players. But yet, with all these trades Howie's made, this team looks like they're prepared just about like anyone to make another run.
Well, their offensive line is not as good as last year's offensive line because of the injuries. Yep. I will tell you the truth that when I'm not a predictor.
Sure.
But when friends would ask me or I'd give a speech and they'd say, give us a record, I picked this team to be 11-6, but still win the NFC East.
Yeah, I gave them a win range. I do this for every team, 11 or 12 wins. But because there was so much mystery, you mentioned the offensive line, right? Okay, there's no way Barkley would have done what he did last year. You can't repeat that. Well, now, we didn't know that the run blocking would be a little bit shaky. But the thing to me is losing 5 defensive players. I just can't believe, and what they did last night was phenomenal, Merrill.
Yep.
I'm just shocked, but Quinyon Mitchell, number 27, Merrill, we don't talk about him enough. He's a phenomenal football player.
And so is Cooper DeJean.
Number 33, correct.
Those two guys, they're great. You talk about Howie and the drafts. The drafts have been so good. And I guarantee you that eventually, and sooner rather than later, Jahad Campbell is going to emerge. And another guy, I'm going to give you another guy who is an emerging star.
97?
No. 58, Jalix Hunt.
Oh, yeah, he had a good game last night.
Oh, he has a good game every week. Starting with Minnesota where he had a pick 6.
Yep.
And the big sack last night, the week before. Jalix Hunt will be a star.
And how about Moro Jomo last night, Merrill? Great, 3 pressures.
Well, he's good.
Good player, first-year starter. See, Howie, really prior to 21, drafts were up and down, but he's drafted so well. He keeps hitting home runs. Merrill, that's how you continue to be good. Great coaching. Nick Sirianni's put together an all-star staff, but you have a general manager who understands you have to build through the draft, not through free agency. You could supplement with it, but when you draft well and you coach well, you keep doing well.
Well, that's why a lot of people are saying that the general manager, Joe Shane, I think his name is, of the Giants,
yes.
should be fired too if they're firing Brian Daboll. But if you really think about it, the Giants have drafted some very good players, including Jackson Dart. He is a talent. And Malik Neighbors, he is a talent. Shane has drafted pretty well and brought in some good free agents. It just hasn't worked out.
They cannot win. That is the great voice of Merrill Reese, play-by-play voice of the Eagles. I'm Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds. This is the Pro Football Report presented by BCWSA right here on 1490 WBCB, 107.3 FM, and also seen live at WBCBsports.com. The show is produced by Chris Ermer. It's Adam Caplan, Merrill Reese, Andrew DiCecco, and I. Next week at Chicky and Pete's in Roosevelt Boulevard. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
You're listening to 1490 WBCB and on your FM dial at 107.3 W296.